Casinos want you to believe every game is pure chance, but former employees say that's only half the story. Dealers are trained to read players and control the tempo, and they orchestrate an invisible advantage for the house, all while following the rules to perfection. If the odds aren't rigged, why do so many people still feel they are? The answer starts with the psychology behind every shuffle and deal. Inside every casino, players are surrounded by the symbols of chance: shuffling cards, spinning wheels, tumbling dice. The promise is clear. Every outcome is random. Every player stands the same shot. Yet the human brain is hardwired to search for patterns, even in pure chaos. Psychologists call this the clustering illusion. When red hits 3 times in a row at the roulette wheel, many see a streak, not a statistical fluke. The mind stitches together order from random events, convincing itself that luck runs in clusters, or that a certain seat is due for a win. This tendency is not just a quirk, it drives real decisions. In a controlled lab study led by Martinez, researchers gave 2 groups the same game. One group could draw balls from an urn themselves. The other watched a machine do it. Both groups faced identical odds, but the hands-on group took bigger risks. The simple act of involvement, feeling like you have a hand in the outcome, pushed people to bet more, even though their control was an illusion. The same effect plays out at the tables. The more a player feels involved, choosing cards, picking numbers, pressing chips, the more likely they are to believe their choices matter. Casinos know these biases run deep. The design of the games, the layout of the floor, even the way chips are handled all feed into the sense of agency and pattern. That is why so many players swear by rituals, tapping the table, blowing on dice, switching seats when luck runs cold. Each gesture is a small attempt to outsmart randomness, but the math never bends. The house edge remains, untouched by superstition or streaks. What keeps players coming back is the feeling, sometimes fleeting, sometimes overwhelming, that they can spot the moment when luck turns. But every shuffle, every spin, every roll is governed by probabilities, not prophecy. Training, however, does not stop at math. Dealers are taught to maintain the flow, to keep the action moving, and to reinforce the sense that the next hand could be the big one. The illusion of randomness is powerful, but it is only half the story. To truly understand how the house keeps its edge, it is necessary to look beyond the felt and the cards, to the people running the games. Dealers do not just follow rules, they shape the experience, often in ways players never notice. The real advantage begins with how the game is delivered, not just how it is played. Inside the walls of a casino, becoming a dealer is less about learning tricks and more about mastering a system. Training starts with the basics: shuffling, pitching cards, cutting chips, but it quickly becomes a drill in precision and consistency. At a typical dealer school, new hires spend weeks repeating the same motions: riffle, strip, box, cut. Every step is counted out loud, every movement timed against a stopwatch. The goal is not just accuracy, it is to build a rhythm that never breaks, no matter how busy the floor gets. A former pit supervisor remembers the first days on the job. You would stand at a dead table, shuffling over and over until your hands ached. If you dropped a card, you started again. If you hesitated, the instructor would call out your time. That pressure is not just for show. Casinos want dealers who can keep the game moving, because every second shaved from a shuffle or payout means more hands played per hour, and more opportunities for the house edge to do its work. The curriculum covers more than mechanics. Trainees learn to handle chips with one hand, to spread bets so cameras can see every dollar, and to announce actions in a clear, neutral voice. There are drills for every scenario: handling buy-ins, paying out side bets, dealing with a packed table, or a lone high roller. Instructors walk the rows, watching for fumbled cards or awkward chip stacks, correcting posture and pace. Mistakes are logged, and progress is measured in speed as much as in accuracy. Efficiency metrics are quietly built into the process. Dealers practice until they can deal a full shoe of blackjack in under 5 minutes, or clear a roulette layout without pausing to count. Supervisors keep notes on each trainee's tempo, nudging slow hands to pick up the pace, or coaching fast hands to stay precise. The best students are moved to live games first, where they are shadowed by experienced staff. Even after graduation, coaching never really ends. Floor supervisors step in to correct slowdowns or break up routines that drag out the action. The emphasis on tempo is not accidental. Casinos track hands per hour as a key performance measure, and dealers are expected to meet informal quotas that vary by game. In blackjack, a competent dealer is expected to reach at least 60 hands per hour at a full table. For roulette, the target might be 35 spins. These numbers are not always written down, but everyone knows them. Dealers who fall behind are coached, and those who keep the game brisk are rewarded with better shifts and higher tips. Dealer training is less about showmanship and more about becoming invisible, blending into the flow of cards and chips and keeping the action steady. Every gesture, every call, every flick of the wrist is rehearsed until it feels automatic. The result is a game that feels natural to the player, but is, in reality, tightly controlled from the inside out. Tempo is the casino's quiet lever, built into every table, every shift, every hand. The math behind it is simple, but the impact is anything but. At the core, a casino's expected win per hour is not just about the house edge or the size of the bets. It is about how many decisions take place, how many hands, spins, or rolls are completed before the next break, the next distraction, the next chance for a player to walk away. The formula is this: expected win per hour equals average bet times house edge times decisions per hour. Shift any one of those, and the numbers move. But decisions per hour is the one lever the house can control most directly, and it is the one most players never see. A former revenue manager puts it plainly: you can't change the cards, but you can change how many times they're dealt. Take blackjack at a full table. The industry standard is about 60 to 80 hands per hour. If a dealer pushes that pace to 100 hands without changing the rules or the stakes, the casino's expected win jumps by 66%. That is not a theory. It is simple arithmetic. At an average $25 bet and a 0.5% house edge, 60 hands per hour means the house expects to win $7.50 from each player every hour. At 100 hands, the expected win climbs to $12.50. Multiply that by a room full of tables, and the difference is measured in thousands by the end of a shift. Blackjack is not alone. Mini Baccarat runs at a similar clip, 60 to 80 decisions per hour. Roulette, with its longer payouts and more elaborate bets, averages 35 to 50 spins. Craps, with its team of dealers and the chaos of the dice, typically lands between 30 and 50 decisions per hour. In every case, the same principle applies: more rounds, more exposure to the house edge, more revenue. The drivers behind these numbers are rarely visible to players. Dealer technique, how quickly chips are cut, how smoothly cards are pitched, how payouts are handled, can shave seconds from each hand. The use of automatic shufflers, the way bets are called open and closed, even the order in which chips are stacked and paid out are all optimized to keep the game in motion. A dealer who hesitates or fumbles slows the flow, and that drag shows up in hands per hour. Supervisors keep informal tallies, nudging slow dealers to pick up the pace, rewarding fast hands with better shifts and tips. Table occupancy matters too. A heads-up blackjack game can run at 200 to 250 hands per hour, which is 3 times the pace of a full table. But even with every seat filled, the expectation is clear. Maintain tempo, keep the action moving, and never let dead time eat into the clock. Hardware plays a role. Continuous shuffling machines eliminate the pause for hand shuffling, pushing the tempo even higher. Game rules and procedures are tuned for speed, from the number of decks to the way bets are placed and resolved. Casinos rarely publish their internal targets, but insiders agree. Tempo is not just a detail, it is a revenue stream. Every extra hand, every added spin, compounds the house advantage, quietly and relentlessly. The illusion of randomness stays intact. But the mathematics of tempo work in the background, hand after hand, hour after hour. Every table game is a conversation, but not the kind most players expect. Dealers are trained to do more than keep the cards moving. They learn to read the room, to watch for subtle shifts in mood and energy, and to use quiet cues that keep people engaged. A behavioral psychologist who has studied live casino play describes it as a dance of micro-signals, a glance, a nod, the timing of a compliment, all working together to draw players deeper into the game. Eye contact is one of the most powerful tools in a dealer's kit. Research in involvement psychology shows that direct gaze increases engagement. When a dealer locks eyes and says, "Nice hitter, you almost had it," the player's sense of participation grows. Dealers are taught to calibrate their language, offering encouragement after a win or a gentle nudge after a loss, but never crossing into overt persuasion. The goal is to keep the atmosphere light and welcoming, to make the table feel like a place where anything can happen. Compliments and small talk are not just for show. Studies of customer service in high-stakes environments reveal that positive feedback delivered at just the right moment can boost a player's willingness to stay in the action. Dealers learn to time their words between hands, never interrupting a decision, but filling the spaces where hesitation might creep in. A well-placed, "You're on a roll" after a streak or a casual, "Next one could be yours," when a player hesitates can be enough to keep chips moving forward. Reading body language is part of the training. Dealers watch for signs of fatigue, frustration, or excitement. A player tapping the table, fidgeting with chips, or leaning in after a big win. These cues help dealers adjust their approach, slowing down for a confused newcomer, picking up the pace for a table full of regulars. Supervisors monitor the floor for any sign that a player is tilting or losing control. If a dealer spots someone getting agitated or making reckless bets, the protocol is clear. Alert the supervisor, who can step in quietly before things escalate. The scripts are not written down, but they are drilled through practice and observation. Dealers shadow experienced staff, learning when to offer a smile, when to stay silent, and when a simple "good luck" is enough. The effect is cumulative. Over a long session, these micro-actions shape the table's mood and the player's sense of agency. The illusion is that every choice is personal, every outcome a matter of skill or intuition, when in fact, the rhythm and flow are being guided from the other side of the felt. Psychologists point out that these nudges do not change the odds, but they do change the experience. By making the game feel social and responsive, dealers help players lose track of time, forget about losses, and focus on the next hand. It is a soft power, one that never breaks the rules, but quietly shapes how long people play and how much they risk. The real influence is not in the cards or the chips. It is in the small, almost invisible gestures that turn a random game into a story players want to keep telling. At the heart of every table, the smallest actions carry hidden weight. Dealers handle chips with a practiced rhythm, clean, efficient, and almost hypnotic. When a player wins, the payout is not just tossed across the felt. Chips are stacked, counted, and presented in a way that invites one more bet. The dealer's hands pause just long enough for the winner to consider stacking their payout right back onto the betting circle. For regulars, this moment feels loaded with possibility. The speed and confidence of the chip presentation give the table a sense of momentum, nudging players to act without second-guessing. This choreography is not accidental. Training drills teach dealers to clear hands and set up the next round in a seamless flow. A steady cadence, no wasted motion, no lingering, means less time for doubt. The default becomes to bet again, especially when the chips are already stacked and waiting. Over a long session, these micro-actions blend into the background, but they shape the rhythm of play. Players who feel the tempo are more likely to ride the wave, pressing bets and chasing streaks. Perceptions of luck often settle on certain seats. When a player's spot seems to hit a string of wins, others take notice. But the rotation of dealers and the flow of chips can make any seat feel hot or cold, depending on the rhythm of the moment. Dealers move methodically around the table, their routines creating patterns that players latch onto. The sense that one seat is luckier than another grows from these repeat ritualized actions. Yet beneath the surface, every chair faces the same odds. The real difference lies in how the game is delivered, not where a player sits. Surveillance cameras are always watching. Every move at the table, every shuffle, every payout, every hand signal feeds into a system designed to spot mistakes and stop anything outside the rules. Casinos run routine audits, reviewing footage for errors and patterns, not just from players, but from dealers and supervisors too. The message is clear: there is no room for shortcuts, and certainly no space for cheating. A former gaming regulator explains that the backbone of modern casinos is not hidden tricks or secret signals. It is the relentless enforcement of procedure. Dealers operate under strict protocols, and any deviation is flagged almost immediately. Surveillance teams log incidents and cross-check hands against recorded outcomes. Random audits by gaming commissions add another layer, ensuring that every game runs exactly as approved. In Nevada, for example, regulators require casinos to keep detailed logs and submit to unannounced inspections. Continuous shuffling machines are a key part of this system. They keep the game moving, and they also remove the temptation to manipulate the deck. With cards being shuffled and dealt at random, the dealer's only job is to follow the script. The machines themselves are subject to regular checks, with software and hardware certified by regulatory bodies. Any malfunction or tampering triggers immediate investigation. The real advantage comes not from bending the rules, but from enforcing them perfectly. Dealers do not need to cheat. The house edge is built into every game, and the structure ensures it is realized over time. Surveillance, audits, and technology combine to make sure that control stays with the system, not with any individual. For players, the sense that something is being manipulated often comes from misunderstanding how tightly the process is managed, not from any hidden hand at work. Every year, U.S. casinos take in over $50 billion, most of it from players convinced luck is all that matters. But the true house edge is not just math. It is in the tempo, psychology, and invisible systems that shape every hand. In a world engineered for the house, awareness is the only real advantage. What will you bet on next time? Share your thoughts below.